ciao, hola, oi. Guys, if you don't know me and if you don't know my channel, my name is Gabriela and this is your Brazilian Spot. Here I share everything related to Brazil, news, language, culture, history, curiosities, and etc. And today the video is about some curiosities, so let's go to the video. Well, today I'm gonna tell you the 12 most populous city in Brazil, and I will start from the bottom, so the less populous and then increasing. Anyway, the first one is Porto Alegre with 1.4 million inhabitants. It's southern Brazil and the capital of Rio Grande do Sul. Since the last census in 2010, the population didn't grow so much. However, the population in the metropolitan region is growing a lot. Number 11, Belém, also with 1.4 million inhabitants. It's in northern Brazil, the capital of Pará, and it was founded in 1616. It's a very old city. The metropolitan area of Belém is one of the largest in Brazil, with almost 2.4 million residents. Number 10, Goiânia. It's quite close to where I live. It's in the middle west of Brazil, the capital of Goiás, and founded in 1933. It's the second youngest capital of Brazil, just behind Brasília. In less than 100 years, in 2019, the capital reached the mark of 1.5 million inhabitants, and the metropolitan region has 2.4 million inhabitants. Number 9, Recife, 1.6 million inhabitants. It's in the northeast of Brazil and the capital of Pernambuco. It's one of the oldest capitals of Brazil, and for centuries it was the most populous in Brazil. The greater Recife has more than 4 million residents. Number 8, Curitiba, 1.9 million inhabitants. It's the southern Brazil and capital of Paraná. It is the coldest capital of Brazil, and the greater Curitiba has more than 3 million inhabitants. Number 7, Manaus, with 2.1 million inhabitants. It's in northern Brazil and the capital of Amazonas. The population of Manaus corresponds to half of the inhabitants of the whole state of Amazonas, and Amazonas is also the largest state of Brazil, but as you know, we have Amazon, so a big part of this area is Amazon. Number 6, Belo Horizonte, 2.5 million inhabitants, southeastern Brazil, and the capital of Minas Gerais, my state. The greater BH, which is Belo Horizonte, is the third largest in Brazil with more than 5.9 million inhabitants. Number 5, Fortaleza, 2.6 million inhabitants, northeast of Brazil, capital of Ceará, and the metropolitan region has more than 3 million inhabitants. Number 4, Salvador, 2.8 million inhabitants, northeast of Brazil and the capital of Bahia, and it was also the first capital of the country. Number 3, Brasília, 3 million inhabitants. It's in the middle east of Brazil and also the capital of Brazil. It's in the Federal District. Note that the 3 million inhabitants is in the whole Federal District. This is not like a state, but a federal district. So this population corresponds to this whole region, including what they call cidades satélites, which is around Brasília. But the population of Brasília, just Brasília, you know, like inside of the city, it's actually 220,000 inhabitants, which is like not so much for a capital. But what happened is that the whole region is very big, so people are, you know, they live in another city and go to work in Brasília. This is quite common. Number 2, Rio de Janeiro, 6.7 million inhabitants, southern eastern Brazil and capital of Rio de Janeiro. So we have Rio de Janeiro the state and Rio de Janeiro the city. It's the fourth most popular city in the continent, behind São Paulo, Bogotá, and Lima, and the greater Rio has more than 13 million inhabitants. And number 1, of course, São Paulo, with 12.2 million inhabitants, is Brazil's largest city. It's the most populous in South America and the entire southern hemisphere. and number 8 among the largest cities in the world. The greater São Paulo has 20 million inhabitants. Okay, now the question is, have you been in some of the cities? What did you think? What is your favorite city? I've been in some of them. In fact, I've lived in some of them, but I have a lot to know still. It's my country, but it's a huge country, so I haven't been everywhere. But I must tell you that probably the last 3 that I told you, if you are a cosmopolitan person, you're probably going to enjoy. These are very nice cities. And that's it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe in the channel, like, comment, share with your friends, and thank you very much for watching. Ciao, ciao!